Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Handmade by Ying with Donna and the boss, Joe, our tech guy. I tell you what, another Friday night, and yes, I'm still not live. You're seeing this pre-recorded. And thank you guys for giving us the grace that we need in order for me to recover from surgery. I greatly appreciate that. So today is January the 23rd, and my goal is I'm going to work on unit 4, 5, and 6 and build that out, and you're going to get to see all the magic happen. I was going to stretch this out over a 9-week period, but I just can't stop because this up here, once I joined unit 1, 2, and 3, the excitement keeps building, and I'm loving the way it's looking. So I figured I'll just go ahead and work all those into one segment as well. So let's get down to the table and I'll show you what I'm working on. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm going to be trimming out unit 4, 5, and 6. And by trimming out, I mean I'm going to get all this white cut off because we don't need it anymore. It served its purpose, and now it's time to retire it per se. And I'm loving the way these colors are. It's got me stoked this time, and it takes a lot to get the passion going. And when you're doing something that you've never done before, you want to make sure, but this piece right here is the unit 4. As you can see, all this white here, that's going to be lost in the seam allowance, so I'm really not worried about it at all. Where I join this, all of that is going to be just hidden away, never to be seen again. So I just like to pull this out to make sure that I'm staying exactly where I want. Now, these blocks they started out at 2, and as I said before, they end up at 1.5. So I want to go a little bit over to allow for the seam allowance when we join these blocks together. So it's going to take me just a couple minutes to do this part for you. And I'm sure you don't mind, because it gives us a chance to chat and hang out. And for that, I always have a good time. So I'm lining up here. I want to make sure that I keep everything in the alignment, because as my husband says, measure twice, cut once. You don't want to mess up. You really just don't want to do that. So always double check before you cut. That way you are sure everything is the way it needs to be. And on some of it, you won't even get anything off, strictly because it's the side where you're coming off with the machine and you're just trimming off strings. You're not trimming off a whole lot of anything. And that's okay too. I call that a win, right? So this one is the unit 4. And let me get unit 5 and we'll get this puppy trimmed in. And honestly, this is where the excitement really builds for me, because now I'm seeing everything that was planned come together. And you've had those projects as well, to where you get really excited. I know I do. Once, like, I can look at a pattern and say, I'll try it, but no guarantees. Well, this is one I just definitely was unsure of, because it's quite large. And now I'm like jonesing to see it all come together. So why not just let's do it together and streamline the process just a little bit. So if you're sewing along with me, continue to do units 4, 5, and 6, and you'll be caught up in no time at all. And I know sometimes I shouldn't do that, because if you're sewing along, it might mess you up. But if you get excited like I just did with this, you're not going to be able to stop at just that little bit of sewing. You're going to be like, oh, I'm liking the way these colors are looking. So I'm sure you understand as well. And I was really iffy on the layouts of the colors, and a million things run through your head. But the designer of this pattern, I'm telling you what, nailed it 100%. Now look at that. All those colors, you wouldn't think this is going to come out and look like a flower. But I'm telling you, it's going to look amazing. Let's get this last piece trimmed in really quick as well. As you can tell, it doesn't take long. And I have the markings on the ruler to help make sure that my corners and everything are staying in a solid alignment. So I'm doing it at the 1 3/8 because when I join all this little sides where you're trimming off, that's all going to come back down to the 1/4. The 1/2, I'm sorry, the 1/2, as it should. And make sure you do give a little tug to the corner because you want those to stay square as well. For my takeaways of this pattern, that is one recommendation I would definitely make. You want to keep everything nice and square. You don't want to have a lot of wiggly around. And line it up. Make sure it's nice and tidy. And this one is right there. And you just keep pulling just a little bit until it all lines up. And it doesn't take a lot of effort to just take your time and do it slow and steady and stay consistent. If you can stay consistent, this will look amazing. And I'm making sure that I'm flush here all the way around. And that's going to give me my square corners as well. Isn't it cool how it all just, it looks so pretty. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So now this one here, you can tell it looks like it's a bit warped. So for that, we're going to fix really easy. Going to line right up here. And I'm going to pull that corner up to where it needs to go and give it a little bit of pressure there and cut it straight off. I'm not going to raise it until I'm sure I have all of those edges. Now, easy peasy, right? Yeah. So give me just a second here and I'll clean this mess up. And we're going to start pinning and stitching. Move my machine back right where it needs to go because I want to make sure that you're able to see how this goes. Now you're going to want to make sure if you've marked your pieces, and I always mark them, I want to make sure that I'm joining them the right way. So this is the layout, so I'm just going to fold it over because this is 5 and this one is 6. And here I'm just going to flip it over. And you can choose to pin all these or you can choose to clip them all. For me, I like to make sure if I'm putting all this work in, I'm going to pin. And I know you don't need to be taught how to do that, but if they're nested right, it's all going to come out and you won't even be able to tell where it was all joined together. So this is the most time-consuming part, but the end result is going to be amazing. So give me just a second because I don't want to stick myself as I'm joining these. You want to make sure that you also don't put too much pressure as you're pulling these and getting them in, because that will pop your seams along the way and you don't want that. And I just gently glide it in and add a stick pin. And end, you're going to do this all the way up, and we're going to repeat the same process when we join number 4, unit 4 to unit 5. And I'm making sure that all of my seams are staying the same direction. That way, it's all going to lay nice and flat on the back when I go to press all of this out before I put it on the long arm. So just pay a little bit of attention now, and it'll save you the headache in the long run. You won't have to go back in and snip and clip anything. It's just going to be fascinating to see how nice and tidy and flat it all comes together. When I joined unit 1, 2, and 3, I'm telling you what, it was like, I can actually see this working the way the pattern says. And that's when you really start to get excited. Have you ever had a project that you're just unsure of as you're starting it, but then as you're starting to see it come together, you really start to get excited? But that's how I am with this one. I'm really starting to get excited. The initial cutting of all the fabric was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. That's a lot of cutting. But the end result, it's going to be priceless. And I'm loving it. Not that I need to tell you that, you can tell, right? And right here. And I did not trim that top piece. I missed the side when I was going around, but I'll catch that here in a minute, because it's just that top little line. So let's go ahead and get that really quick, so it's not the forgotten one, you know? I'll do that after I sew it because I don't want to mess it up. So stay at 2.4 with your stitch length, or your stitch length of your choice. I choose 2.4. And I like to be able to stick my finger here. If you have a stylus, you can also use it, but my nails are long enough. I make sure that I'm pushing this in the up direction, and the feed dogs are bringing them in the down on the back. And the key here, honestly, is consistency. Take your time and enjoy. And normally, I do not like to work with pins because I always end up sticking myself. How about you? I think we all do. Now at the end, as I did in the beginning, I will back tack that because the pressure as we're building, it could let loose just a little bit, and you don't want that. Anytime you're building a large project, and this has got a little bit of heft to it, that's going to put more pressure on your seams. So just feel free to go ahead and back tack and lock that in. And for 1 second here. I want to make sure that I go ahead. What a better time than now to go ahead and get this trimmed off where I missed it. And at the top, it's not going to be off any. I'm just taking basically the paper off. And here at the corner, I'll still do the same as I have. And I will pop that up and put my fingers there to give it the pressure that it needs. And if I've done that on any of the others, I'll repeat the same process. So now we're going to look, that's piece 4, that's piece 5. Now I'm going to take this one and just flip it over and make sure that I've got them in alignment. Flipping it over and lining it up. And this time, for demonstration, because the pins do stick me, I am going to just give it the clips. And I'm sure it's going to be just as tidy, just less painful for me. And if I got one that just looks like it's starting to slide off a little bit, I'm definitely going to give it that little nudge, and I will go ahead and put a pin in it there, because I don't want these to be off at all. We didn't put all this work into it to see it starting to shift or anything like that. So pull that there. The back side has to come down and stick a pin in. And you can do the mix between the pins and the clips. That's not going to hurt. And it's all in the way it's pulling here. Not that anything's askew or off. It's just the weight of the quilt, or the units per se. And as I sew this in, I will still continue to go slow and steady, and we'll build this out. I want to make sure that it stays nested. That's the key, the nesting of it. I'll do that all the way up. One up, one down. Coming into the home stretch here for this unit. Like I said, remember the consistency of the one up, one down. If you're going all in one direction, it makes it come together so much nicer for you. So now it's getting a little heavy, and you've got all those pins in too. So just make sure that your first stitches in, you do back tack that. And then just go slow and steady and use your fingernail or stylus to get these in. And where the clip is, I'll just go all the way up as close as I can and then start pulling the clips. And I'll pull those off to the right and use my finger as kind of like a little weight, pushing it down and staying consistent. And remember, your seams go up on the top and down on the bottom, and that's, you lock it in. So I'm excited. Now, how does that look? Is that not crazy? I'm telling you, it's just mind-blowing to me that all those little tiny pieces all come together, and I will press these seams out, and I'll see you back here in a minute. So I'm all set up, and now it's time to press these out. What I like to do is make sure I'm pushing my finger along the seam and making sure that I'm going just slow enough. I'm not manipulating it or anything like that. And if I see one that's up a little bit, then I'll work with it and get fidgety with it. But like underneath, you can feel the way you want them to go. So just gently and evenly Just give it a little bit of heat and you're going to feel that seam moving to the right direction that you wish for it to go. And I still have a pin in this one. There. Now I can fold it back and get it to come the right way. And this one I want to go that way as well. So I'm taking my hands and just running it along. That way they're lining up and it's going to lay nice and flat as well. Is this not looking so cute? So I want to make sure the way I have it going the first time and pull out any pins that I may have missed. And I have a couple here I did miss. I could feel them and it's not opening it up the way that I want. Right here we go. Slow and steady. And we've got that in. Now how cool is that? And give me just a minute and I'll tack it up on the board and you'll be able to see it all together. Hey guys, what do you think so far? Is it not looking like this? I am telling you, this is amazing. So I figure, you know, I can't stop myself, right? Everybody knows when I get rolling on something that really I'm passionate about. Now I'm passionate because I'm seeing the vision. I'm seeing how this is coming together and all of the scatter in the flowers. Can you see the flowers? Yes, I can too. Well, anyway, I'm too excited. So why don't we go ahead and join units 1, 2, and 3, 2, 4, 5, and 6. So why I got you here tonight? Okay, so give me a second. I'll have Joe help me. We'll pull it back out of the wall and we'll get this puppy all together. And I'll see you in just a second. Okay, now Joe's helped me with the magic of getting it all off the wall. And I've taken the liberty to go ahead because it's a long section that we're joining and pinning all the way along. So when you're doing the length 14, you know how many pins you have to deal with. So the pressure here is going to start to pull. Make sure you do back tack periodically throughout this process. So anywhere where I've got that junction of where the units came together, I'm going to back tack just to make sure that I'm good and sturdy. I may even do it like every 4th or 5th because I do not want my seams to pop at all. There's a lot of work into this and I want to make sure that it stays lined up as it should. So just stay consistent. Plan on getting stuck with your pins because I keep getting stuck with them, but I wanted to make sure this part came together nice and tidy. Doesn't that look so pretty on the back, the way everything's flowing? I know. It's the little things in life, right? So I want to make sure that I'm keeping it to where it's going to line up without any issues. I don't want to have any buckles or anything in it. I want it to be just as pretty as you had seen it hanging. But now we'll get to see it all joined together very shortly. And I'm taking my time. That's the key. You didn't put all this work into this to just zip it in and hope for the best. Well, I have a pin here, so, well, there's pins everywhere, but I don't want to sew over any pins. Like that. I'll back up because it got caught on the presser foot. Some of them I have stuck in pretty deep. So I want to make sure that I'm pulling them instead of sewing over them if they're real tight up against. Or popping them back some, maybe, would be the better word. And I know, dead air, but I'm focused, hyper-focused on this. You'd think I'm racing a car or something. Lining it up. And just keep going. Now I'm down to the corner, and I'm going to back tack a couple times because that's going to have a lot of pressure there. Pull it all over in front of you nice and easy and gently so you don't have a bloodbath on your hands. That's why I don't like to work with pins very often. And double check yourself along the way and make sure you're not dropping them on the floor because your pooches won't like them or your kitties. No, it's not safe. So make sure that you're keeping them all up on the table. And just one at a time. I could honestly just drop them in a pile and set it up later, but I'm not doing that. I'd rather just take my time with you guys and pick these out. And I would tell you I know exactly how many's in here, but I don't. You see 14, 14, 28. Add 14 more to 28. And that's how many pins. $42. I had to do the math in my head really slow. But now we've got this, and we'll get the iron heated up, and I will press this out, and I'll be back with you in a second up on the wall to where you can see all the magic. So, through the magic of editing and all of the things, we're back now, and Joe's helped me, and we've got it hung up on the wall. So let me move out of the way. What do you think? Do you like it as much as I do? I can't wait now. I'm jonesing, but I won't get to it right away to get the last sections made, built, and on. So how close is that? I'm telling you, is that not going to be so stinking cute? I'm loving it. And I hope that you're loving the process along the way with me as well. My takeaway from this, I'll wrap it up and give that to you at the very, very end. But for tonight, thank you for coming. I appreciate all your love and support and all your prayers. So you guys take care. God bless you. And I'll either post a pre-recorded one up for next Friday night, or you'll see me back here. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.